Hello and welcome to this week's vlog. It's been a little while, but I've still been coming down to the plot and keeping on top of things. We've had a really good week of weather this week. It's been up in the 20s every day, and hopefully it'll carry on for another couple of weeks. There's a lot of harvesting to do. Some of the tomatoes are starting to turn. I've got a few cucumbers coming on the cucumber plant, and there's some carrots and onions that I need to get out of the ground. So that's going to be today, really. Just a little bit of harvesting and a little bit of relaxing. So we'll have a look at what we're dealing with. So as you can see there, we've got some tomatoes that are starting to turn. Got a few more in there that are just starting to turn, and the bell peppers coming on nicely. So things are progressing well in the polytunnel. The melons are up to the top, so that's a good 5 feet tall. I've been trimming off any side shoots that come out, and the same with the cucumber. We're almost up to the top of the trellis now, and as you can see, there's some little skinny cucumbers just starting to form. So we'll get them in about a week or so. The watermelon plants burst into life, so that's doing quite well. So just going to let that trail along the greenhouse. And this, what I was told was a cucumber, is 100% not a cucumber, but the cucumber's outgrowing it anyway. So I tied that in on Wednesday, and it's grown that much in the past 2 days. So I'll just keep on top of that. We'll have a look inside the greenhouse and see how things are getting on in there. Similar story in here, really. Some of the tomatoes are starting to turn, so I should be able to take some of those cherry tomatoes home today. And some of the larger varieties are just starting to turn, and the chilies are still going absolutely crazy. And the volunteer tomato has done really well, and this is a chocolate habanero. I've had this at home for a little while and it's not really done anything, so I've brought it down, left it in the greenhouse. It seems to be doing a lot better in here. The leaves have all greened up and it's put on some new growth, so I'm quite happy about that. I'm just going to put some water in the reservoir below. I've done it the same as I do a lot of mine, with the wicking system coming out the bottom and into a bucket. So I'm going to put some water in that today. The melon plant doesn't appear to be doing very well. I think it's died off. It's just got the one melon on it. And the loofah plant, there's plenty of growth on it, but no actual loofahs. So hopefully I'll get one this year, but maybe not. So let's go and have a look outside at the onions and carrots that are ready to be harvested. So these were the first sowing of carrots, and you can see they're ready to come out. These are the second sowing, which to be honest aren't far behind them. And you're going to get some don't know whether you can see that in the shade, but I might take a few out of there and see what they look like. There's the parsnips in the little raised bed. Get past the leaves, and a couple of the beetroot are ready to come out, so I shall take some of those with me today. And a lot of the red onions are starting to flop over and go. I've always struggled with red onions, but as you can see this year seems to be doing all right. That one's almost as big as my hand, and there's quite a few that are a similar size. So I'm going to take all them up and put them on the drying rack. Utah Jumbo, in the past week or so with all the rain and warm weather, are getting a lot bigger. There's obviously a few that haven't done anything, but I'm not too worried about that. The majority of the crop is doing well. Right then, let's have a look. So that's a pretty good carrot. we can get a few more like that. Similar sort of shape and size. There was only one comedy carrot. Right, so now I'm going to have a look at the onions and see how they're getting on. I'm only going to take out the ones that have flopped over, and I'm going to leave the rest in, and hopefully they'll continue to grow and get a little bit bigger. So we'll move over to them next. That's another good harvest of red onions. They're all good size. I'm trying to think which one might be the biggest. Probably him. Sort of almost tennis ball size, which is perfect. Yeah, there's still some in there that are still growing, so I'm just going to leave them for another week. I'll get these on the drying rack now, and then going to have a look at some tomatoes to see if there's any ready. And this is today's harvest. I've got 3 good sized beetroot. I found this one up by the side of the fruit cage, so I just pulled that out because it's ready. I've got some courgettes, yellow and green, 1 Scotch bonnet chilli, which although it's very small, certainly packs a punch. I've got some bell peppers there, last 2 strawberries, a few tomatoes, the carrots, and obviously we've got the onions up here drying. So I would say I'm pretty happy with this harvest, and there's still plenty more to go at. So I'm going to call it a day for now from plot 1, and tomorrow I'm going to pop up to plot 2 and see what we can harvest from there. I know that there's some calabrese that's not far off, and there's certainly a few greyhound cabbages that are ready. So we'll harvest those tomorrow and see what else we can find. Good morning. I just thought I'd find a nice spot to do the intro, nestle myself in amongst the flowers, and I've been sat here for about 20 minutes now, just watching the world go by, watching the insects doing the pollination, people taking their dogs for walks, and just really chilled out at the moment. There's no rush, and it's times like this that you have to remember, when in the middle of January and February, when it's freezing cold, and you're the only person on the plot, because all the sensible people are tucked up in the nice warm houses. These are the times that make it all worthwhile. So I'm just going to sit here for a little bit longer, have myself a nice cup of tea, and then I'm going to pop up to the second plot in a while and just do some harvesting and taking it really easy today. So we'll see what we get up to later. So for now I'm just going to put my feet up. Now, this is one little job that I've been wanting to get done for a while. These raspberry canes. I'm pretty sure that these are early fruiting, so I'm not going to get any fruit off them this year, but next year's fruit will grow on this year's growth. So I've just knocked in a couple of metal bars that I've got lying around. I've knocked them in about 5.5 foot into the ground. There's a good couple of foot in the ground as well. And I've got some wire. I'm just going to run 3 lengths of wire, top, middle and bottom, and then I'm just going to tie the raspberries in a little bit just to tidy them up and make it look presentable. I'm going to try and get on top of getting this this section of the allotment looking neat and tidy, so I'm going to start with that. So I've got plenty of wire. This should have enough there for 3 lengths. Just get that cut down and get them tied in, and it should look a lot neater after that. That's that little 10-minute job done. I've just tied them all in, up, and then when they get a little bit longer, I shall trail them across the top I'm going to find some way of tensioning the top wire a little bit more, but at least it's getting the majority of them off the ground, and I can get in there to sort the weeds out, take out the bindweed and the couch grass. Yeah, that's one little job done. Let's move on to the next thing. Right, so now I'm up in the on the second plot inside the brassica cage, and there's plenty here that needs to be harvested. In fact, some of the broccoli's gone over a little bit, but I think it'll be okay as long as we eat it today. So we'll just have a look at what we can get, and then I'm going to leave it to the very last minute just before I go home to cut everything, because I don't want it drying out in this heat. So we've got a couple of purple sprouting broccoli which are ready to go. These are the Savoy cabbages that I rescued the other day. Red cabbages, not that happening, but all the pongo beans that I planted 2 weeks ago. So the majority have come through. So when I come down later this evening, I'm going to give those a good watering. And this is the green sprouting broccoli. So these are all pretty much ready to go. I've got some Cavolo Nero that's ready for picking. A couple of nice sized cabbages. That's firm, but I don't think that's ready just yet. Oh, that one is. So I'll probably take 1 or 2 of those home today. Some Cavolo Nero, and then the sprouting broccoli. Just gonna have a look at the sprouts, see how they're doing. They're not particularly well, they're not very tall, but there are a few sprouts on there. Probably need a good feed in. I'm going to give everything in here a feed this evening when I come down and spend an hour. I might just work some bloodfish and bone into the soil. But there's plenty of broccoli there to go at. Potatoes are doing all right. I'm not exactly sure when they're ready. I think it's probably about another 4 weeks before these are ready. But they seem to be dying off early, so I don't know whether that's them saying that they're ready, or whether it shouldn't be lack of water. It's done nothing but rain all year. And then this bed, got a couple of Calabrese that are ready to go. We've got a couple more that are just starting to form. So it's not a huge harvest from the second plot. We've got 2 what I would call traditional broccoli, some purple sprouting broccoli, some green sprouting broccoli, and a greyhound cabbage. So that's going to go towards our Sunday lunch, which we're going to start cooking shortly. So that's all we've got time for this week. Thank you all for joining me, and I hope to see you again next week. Thank you very much, and goodbye.